but we got some things we got to get into. So we are a basketball podcast. The Hardwood Nation started in 2010, and I have prided myself on talking about things and writing about things that people haven't been comfortable on writing about. As Joshua knows, as Mike knows, storytelling was at the forefront of Hardwood Nation, but it had to be based in fact. It had to be based in feeling. Um, we have some shit to talk about. Last week, me and Bryce touched on this Joshua Primo situation. Some other news has come out since then. So I'm gonna play a very short video. This is from the alleged victim. We have to say alleged, and it's just a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna play this just to give you guys some context at what is going on. Alrighty, let's see. Boom, and 1 second, guys.
I have an obligation under Texas state law and HIPAA, which I take very seriously and I will not violate. I am disheartened to be standing here sharing the events of my story, but I'm also very humbled and honored to have the place to share words that others may have not been able to. I'm a clinical sports psychologist. I'm a mother of 4 wonderful daughters. I'm a woman and I am a victim. I am many things, but I'm not alone in the fight to do the right thing. The right thing is say, no, this is not okay, to hold people accountable, to make systemic change, and to protect those that suffer in silence. The right thing is also to say, I'm sorry. I have failed you, and we need to do better. My passion is to help others learn how to thrive in their world and to help organizations develop a culture of care. The organization I worked for has failed me. And in turn, I failed those around me when I wanted to make change. I spoke up, I asked for help, I gave options. My voice and my feelings, my actionable items were silenced. Due to their inaction and protection of their assets, other individuals were impacted. And for that, I am truly sorry. I ask for everyone listening to do not jump to harsh criticism or conclusions. This is a sensitive matter, and these are humans who are impacted. We cannot assume, but we can take action. It took the Spurs 10 months to do the right thing. That's too long. My hope is that all who hear can learn from this. I hope through this I can be an agent for change. It's never too late for us to change and to be better.
All right. So to be clear on what the allegations are, the the young lady was a psychologist that worked for the Spurs organization. Sh- Pardon. She helped all the players with various issues, and she alleges that the young man exposed himself to her at least 9 times. She also alleges that she told the Spurs of the instances, and nothing was done. So, Bryce, when I first told you about the situation last week, what was your first thoughts?
Um, it just it honestly just sounded like this kid, like given the details we were given, it just seemed like a really bad decision that this kid made. Right? It just seemed upfront. Um, seemed a little odd, excessive, like 9 times. Right? And it's just an odd story to begin with. In general, but I mean, we took what was there at face value, basically, and was essentially judging this kid, not really giving like a benefit of the doubt, basically, because it seems so pretty much like there's not an accident in where that happens, right? There's we basically are just taking this lady's word, who's like a therapist. It's a haven't really heard much on his end about it, just basically what the media has released so far, which doesn't seem to be the whole story. And I think as we come to find out, it wasn't. So,
Joshua, what are your initial thoughts?
So initially when I saw this story, right? I'm like, okay, I believe they picked this kid in right around the lottery. What is it, 21? That draft class, I believe. And looking into it initially, I thought, okay, we have potentially one of those situations, but again, you have to treat them all fairly. So looking into it, I also felt like 9 times. That is a little excessive, especially after Dallas when the whole office situation went on over there. You feel like the rest of the league is just they'd get to it before 9. So there's that. That's like my only like I guess, doubt there. However, in the case where there could have been something that did happen, I can't just say that it didn't happen, because again, none of us were there. We don't know. So it's going to take facts and things to come out as time goes on. But initially, yeah, there probably could have been some things that he did, probably unintentionally or even intentionally. Again, like, I'm not making him out to be a saint either, because they did, I believe, release him. So there is some sort of conclusiveness to, I guess, whatever happened in there. But my initial thoughts are, yeah, he probably did end up doing something, whether it was intentional or unintentional. The seriousness of it still stands. So that's where I'm on that.
Mike, I'm going to read the statement from Primo's lawyer really quick, and then I'm going to throw it to you, okay? Mm-hmm. So, in an act of betrayal against her young client, Dr. Calton, who is 40 years old, falsely claims Josh Primo exposed himself to her during the course of her numerous therapy sessions. Dr. Calton's allegations are either a complete fabrication, a gross embellishment, or utter fantasy. Josh Primo never intentionally exposed himself to her or anyone else, and was not even aware that his private parts were visible outside of his workout shorts. All right, take it, Mike.
Wait a minute. You don't know that your stuff is hanging out? Come on now. You're fucking dumb for that shit. Excuse me for the language, but that's the one time that's the one time you're probably gonna hear me side with hers. That's stupid. I mean, I'm sorry. Pardon the language, but I'm sorry. As a guy, when your dick is out. Period. So the way that I see this is this though. Like, we talk about 9 times. 9 times is way too excessive. And if the Spurs didn't do anything, I want to know why she didn't go to the NBA, or why she didn't go outside of the league and do this a lot sooner, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of look at, like, I don't know. I don't necessarily trust this situation. As a psychologist, she knows exactly what she's doing verbally. She knows how to conduct herself as a victim, period. And I'm not saying she's not, but I'm just saying there needs to be a lot of accountability on her end, because she may have literally just ruined this 19-year-old's career. Okay. So to me, she really needs to sit back and examine what happened, what she needs to be accountable for. Own up to that shit, because guess what? This kid has a long life ahead of him, and you just made it a lot harder. And I'm not taking everything away from Josh Primo. I don't know, like Josh said, we don't know what happened in those meetings. We don't know what happened in those sessions. But, arrogance could have been in the position, right? Oh, I got this 40-year-old, right? I might try and do something, right? I'm a 19-year-old arrogant ass little kid in the NBA, right? I'm not ready for this mentally, but I'm here. Could be a situation like that. But I'm going to throw this out there as well. When the NBA has started going towards diversity in the sense of hiring females, guess what? This was a risk that was going to be taken no matter what the position is. This is something that could have been foreshadowed a long time ago, in the sense of, guess what? We're probably going to have exposure stories. We're going to have situations that we're going to have to deal with that we've never had to deal with in the past. This is a risk that we are going to do, that we're going to take, to go ahead and say we're going to bring women into this league, right? And I'm not saying women shouldn't be in the league, but you have to understand that there's going to be certain things that need to be they need to be tiptoed around, in the sense you need to be accountable and responsible for everything you do and you say, even more so now. So guess what? She's in this position. I think she's taking this, to me, she's taking it way too far, in the sense of, I'm a victim. She was crying on this thing, but you had a responsibility to report this way before 9 times. That tells me you enjoyed seeing it 8 times too much.
Well, I mean, not to cut you off, 9 times though. If someone exposes themselves to me 1 time, why am I meeting with them again in a closed professional set?
Exactly.
Like, exactly. I'll just be like, nah, I'm good. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. I'm not downplaying any side, but it's like, we're not in the room. So I'm not gonna pass like heavy judgment, but it seems very odd.
It is. It's a very odd situation.
It's just the age difference too. You have to also keep that in mind. Like, if I mean, again, like I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know that if like certain situations where like if someone is much younger in a case, like I feel like going about it in such an aggressive way wouldn't be like the go-to method here. I feel like there would be some sort of, I don't know. I think this, like Bryce said, this probably would have started way down the line if this really was something. Again, like I don't want to devalue any claim here, but it looks a little fishy. But that's just it.
If that were me or any of you guys, we would have been arrested and in jail after the first time.
Oh
yeah.
But also, what's weird is like we've learned recently, like we've known it for a long time. Like this believe all women thing, that's fine because I see where you got to push the needle the other way, but that's not 100% true. And I mean, like the perfect example was the crazy Amber Heard Johnny Depp shit, right? So it's like I am not saying this lady is that either. I'm not putting that on anybody. I'm just saying like we can't just accept these crazy statements. Like we have to take it all in with like a grain of salt. So it's like I'm not trying to downplay a victim or anything. I'm just saying like I'm not gonna trash this kid's whole life without knowing more. And it's like we're not in a position to get those details, so I get it. But at the same time, like we have to be so careful because
we're only gonna be given what the media wants to be given. We're going to be shown that the media will give us whatever it is, and that's what they want us to believe. They want us to believe that vision.
Right. And the media support certain people, and she kind of meets that certain criteria. If you see the video of her.
I mean, we can just say it. She's white and blonde, so we already know how that goes. We can say it. We ain't gonna sugarcoat shit on this podcast. But here's the thing. Here's the facts that we have to go off of. She was a psychologist for the Spurs. They let her go. We don't know why they let her go. It could be because of the complaints that she made. And as she said, they were trying to protect their asset. The only thing I would ask to see is, due to HIPAA laws, there's no way we can. They don't record those sessions, so that's out of the question. We're not going to see that. But what we can see is if she made formal complaints to the Spurs about his conduct, that should be documented somewhere within that organization. So until we see those actual complaints, we're going to be in this gray area right now. Now, Greg Popovich made his statement. He said, hey, the lawyers got it now. They're going to determine everything. That's a fine statement. But we need to see the actual complaints. If this thing goes to trial, we might see it then, because it is a criminal investigation open on Josh Primo right now. So you have the lawsuit, but you also have a criminal investigation into the kid right now. So those are the facts as we know it right now. Okay. Right. That's where we're at.
Can I add one more thing on this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have this, I don't know, my wife is not big into sports. Of course, she'll watch it when she's sitting there. She'll be on her phone, etc. if I'm watching it, just so she can hang out with me, right? So I like to ask her about certain things. I asked her about the Brittany Griner situation. Like, should Joe Biden make the trade? And she was like, look, I'm sorry, based on certain facts, certain details, I'm not making that trade. Sorry, Brittany, you got to stay over there. Right. And I was like, wow, that's a huge step in the thought process, because you're thinking of what's in the betterment of everybody else. Right. Because that person that Putin wants is a very, very, very dangerous individual. Right. For what actually happened. So just as an example, so I bring this to her and I say, babe, tell me what you think. If these are the facts that are brought to you. She was like, that's no. She needs to take responsibility for what she did. She needs to stop doing this. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting point that you're saying this, because as a woman, you would think with, of course, Me Too movement, this, that, and the other, it's, hey, let's support every woman. Well, guess what? You've got some people out there that actually think logically. And it's important to understand the platform, but it also is more important to understand from the personal perspective, right, of a human being. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, I just wanted to bring that in the sense of somebody that has nothing to do or cares nothing about any of this stuff. She's seeing it from a different light than what we may be seeing it since we're in the sports world. Oh. And it speaks volumes outside of it.